So I've done a first step in the repair of the leading edge. This area here had lost some foam and was easily depressible with a finger. The leading edge had split open, and what I did was I used this mold which I had previously made of my leading edge, and started with some blue painter's tape stuck down on the bottom to the underside of the wing at the leading edge. Applied the Gorilla Foam under the skin and folded this tape over and sealed it. Then put this former over the blue tape, a piece of foam and a bucket of paint on top of this, and just left it overnight, and it's foamed up and done a nice job. I noticed this morning that this part of the leading edge is also split, and in fact there's a small crease there and again a small piece of missing foam. So I'm going to repeat the process, and I thought it might be worthwhile to document it. So I've already cleaned the stuff up, and it's all ready to be worked on. So the first step I want to do here right now is put a hot wet cloth over it. So this has been dipped in boiling water, and I'm basically going to steam that. Okay, so that's 2 applications of the heat treatment. It's now fairly cool, and I'm going to remove this, and I want to dry the wing surface because the water will kick the foam off, but I'm relying on the moisture that's inside the wing to really kick the foam off. So, when I try to feel this, it may have come out a little bit, but I can still feel a dip right here. And that's right where it looks like there's a little crack there. So my plan is to take some Gorilla Glue on the tip of a toothpick and go inside here and just apply the glue and seal it up with the blue painter's tape. And you can see here on the first side, I haven't cleaned this up yet, but a little bit of painter's tape has remained and some glue oozed out past my painter's tape. But I'm going to sand that off, and I'm planning to glass this whole area because I'm going to exit and get glue underneath it and then glass it to cover it. So we'll get a good finish in the final analysis there. Okay, so first things first, we need to see where our hole is and apply the painter's tape to the top surface, and then the idea will be to get the glue in and fold that over, apply this and await. Okay, Gorilla Foam glue. I'm using this one. I found this one real good in this application. So here we are. Let the glue run down to the bottom of the bottle. And I'm not sure how well I can hold this in view of the camera while I'm doing it, but we'll see how it goes. So there's some glue coming out of the bottle. This stuff's rather nasty. Well, I say nasty, but anyway, it sticks like hell to your fingers. So I got a little bit in there, and I'm going to put another bubble about the same amount. Maybe I'm going to do a third one. Okay. Close the glue up. Use a paper towel to clean this all off. And there's a bit on the blue painter's tape. And I'm going to fold this over and seal it down. Okay. I see that. Okay. We're going to put this on here. And my piece of white foam and a bucket of paint. So you want a pretty good weight on this, which keeps the foam in the wing. Otherwise it'll fight and find its way out. So this I'm going to leave for 24 hours. It could be ready in a couple of hours, but there's no point in messing around with it. Leave it for 24 hours and then we'll deal with it from there. Okay, so we're back here after 24 hours. I was just looking at the instructions, and this quick-set foam glue says 30 to 60 minutes, but I've found through the winters as opposed to the summers that the glue is often not fully set, and for me it's just been much safer to leave it overnight. So let's unpack this, see what we got. Hopefully we don't have a mess. And as you can see, the little former is there, and this side looks quite nice and clean, as does this side. So we contained all the glue inside under the painter's tape, and let's just carefully remove it. Could spread some alcohol here and soften up the adhesive, but I've generally found this is okay. Alright, I'm not getting out of the camera. I've just moved it over to the edge of my workbench here, and I am sort of thinking I should perhaps use some alcohol, but okay, there's a few spots of foam there. And here you can see a little bit of foam that's remaining on the painter's tape. Stuck to my plastic sheet. And there we have it. So, looks pretty good. It's totally firm all the way through. This is the previous repair that I did the day before. And yeah, so we're ready to, you can see the D-lam here perhaps in the light. I'm not sure if the camera shows it clearly enough. But my plan now would be to mask off an area here and put a patch, fold it around over the leading edge, And I'm also going to put a patch across here because there's a small crease in the aileron, flaperon. And I'll study this pretty carefully, but as far as I can see so far, this skin is in great shape, and I can just feel a small crease there, so I may put a patch on that side. But I guess if we come around far enough here, we'll most probably cover this, and we won't have to put something on the top. I'll assess that. So I've laid out here, what I plan to do. A piece of glass that will run around like that and fold over to the other side of the leading edge. And I'll scribe a line on each of these and then cut my X for the D-lam so that I can flip it up and get some glue in underneath. I haven't decided if I'll use CA or epoxy. And scuff this whole area up, clean it with acetone and lay the glass. Okay, so I've scuffed up the surface. I've cleaned it with alcohol. I did notice when I took this area off, I'm not 100% sure, but it almost seemed like acetone might be going for that foam. So I laid off any acetone on this. I just used 90% alcohol, and I scuffed up this. And my next step is to cut a paper pattern that makes exactly this piece of glass. And I'll cut the glass and spray it with 3M77. And but prior to that, I will take a brand new X-Acto blade, split this skin, lift it, and glue it down. Okay, so I have used CA and glued the skin down. I then I'll show you this plastic that I put over the wing bottom, which is very interesting. Epoxy doesn't stick to it, nor does CA. And anyway, a piece of foam in the proverbial paint can to weigh it all down. So, and here's this piece of plastic, and it feels fairly good. So I think we just touch it lightly with a sandpaper, hit it with a bit of alcohol, and we're ready to cut our pattern and then cut our cloth. So that'll be my next step. So here is my pattern now cut out, and I'll get it in approximately there. And when we wrap this around, we'll have a covering like that. Okay, so, and I've marked out the layer of the weave that I want, and I'll get my cloth. I cut my cloth with a sharp X-Acto knife, and I just hold the pattern on and cut it out and then spray it with 3M. So give this thing one last clean with alcohol, and ready to cut this and spray it and proceed. So this is the same drop cloth plastic. I get it from Ace Hardware, drop cloth, and the epoxy will not stick to it, and the CA, as you saw earlier, didn't stick to it. So I've cut a piece that's big enough, and I can attach it with this blue painter's tape. Then I can come and work here, spread my epoxy and cloth, wrap it around, and then I'll pull this down and tie it down to the top side. And poor man's vacuum bag, it's not a real vacuum bag, but we'll again go with the foam and the can of paint to weigh the whole thing down. So here I've just started to lay the cloth out. with the 3M adhesive, and I'm going to roll it over. And okay, it's holding down here. Now it's holding down over here as well. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Nice and flat. Nice and tight. So I'm going to mix up now my 30-minute epoxy, Z-epoxy, and cut it 50% with alcohol, and put it on with I use a little paintbrush, and stretch this down, pack it up, and put it away for 24 hours. It'll lie this side down because this is the flat side of the wing, and the weight will come from the other side, but we're working from here right now. Okay, let me mix the epoxy. Okay, so I've got a lot of the epoxy laid down, as you can see, and I'm just getting to the leading edge. I thought I'd just fire the camera up at this point and proceed to get to the leading edge and turn the wing over. Okay, so we're going to pull this out, but not just so that we can rely on it while we work here. And we're going to work on this side. Okay, I would say we got some good epoxy on there. And I want to get the paint can out the way and turn it back. And now we want to make sure that we're pulling this as tight as we possibly can, and then pinning it down. Okay, that looks like we're going to need another piece of tape there. Get that pulled out. Let's see if I can pull this out. It's looking better. So I think that's all going to get flattened by the foam. So I've got the aileron control horn off the edge of my bench. Let's have one last look at this side. It looks pretty good. I think so. Okay, we're going to put that over there. And the weight. And that's it for 24 hours. Well, more or less 12, 18 hours. Tomorrow morning sometime I'll have a look at it. Okay, so I'm now going to open this up and let's have a look at how it all turned out. Should be able to see how the plastic will just peel off the epoxy surface. we've got a few areas where we're exposed down to the glass cloth. The rest is fairly well covered. And so let's just get this off. Okay, so again, a few areas where we didn't have enough resin to cover into all the glass cloth, but overall extremely smooth. And I'll peel off the tape. And we still have to put a small patch on here, which I won't film, but there's a crease through the vaguely see it on this side through the aileron, and so I'll put a small patch on the underside. So that looks like a good repair, and we'll take it from there. Thanks. So I just thought I'd show you a few seconds, minute or so of removing the blue tape. I've removed it on the top side. It's come off perfectly. And I'm just going down here and removing it on the underside now. So you can see that it comes off pretty easily. I can't quite get my fingers onto that, but now it comes. And it leaves a nice sharp line at the tape edge and a pretty neat joint or repair. Thanks.